Hi guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Hope you're good. Welcome to McKola TV. I am Adam and this is the Aftermath Live. I'm on my own today. Obviously Dean's not here. I'm going on holiday today, so I had to do this earlier and Dean couldn't join me. So you're probably thinking, Mac, why are you doing this so early? Going away in a few hours. So I thought, let me get Aftermath Live in just before I go. It was Southampton 1. Manchester United 1, and it means Manchester United have dropped 7 points in the last 3 league games since that victory over Chelsea. After that 4-0 win against Chelsea, things were looking good. We were feeling confident, we were happy. Even after the Wolves game, we felt like it was a missed opportunity. Pogba misses the penalty, and we think, you know, if we score that, it's a professional victory. It wasn't a bad performance against Wolves, but everything we've seen since then hasn't been good for Manchester United. Now, by chances created and all that stuff, Manchester United should have been doing better in the game against Southampton and in that game against Crystal Palace, but there's no excuses for it. We didn't get the points, we didn't get the victories we needed. We've got some very, very difficult games on the horizon after the international break, and we're here to discuss all that on the Aftermath Live with you guys. We're going to be talking about yesterday's game, talking about what that means for the future, talking about Manchester United, and of course I'll be going through my player ratings from the match a little bit later on in the show. So thank you for joining us, guys. Hope you're all good apart from the football. Obviously, my trip back from Southampton yesterday, it was a long one. It was a long one. You know what's funny, yeah? I don't know about you guys, but definitely with me, whenever I go to a football match and Manchester United win, you'll talk about goals and things like that. But for most of the journey, now bear in mind, I'm obviously not a local Red. I drive to every game. So I drive an hour and a half to Manchester every game. So on the way back, we're doing the same things where you know, if United win, we speak about the football. But once we're on the motorway, we're listening to music, we're having a laugh and a joke. Football is the last thing you talk about. We only really discuss it in the car when we lose or we draw. Yesterday, obviously for Southampton, Nick travelled back separately. He edited the videos and all that, stayed in London, went to see his mom. So I travelled back on my own, and I was just there draking and driving, thinking, I said draking and driving by the way before anyone reports me, thinking what the hell is going on at Manchester United. And it's, you look at the squad, we uploaded a picture on Full Time Devils today of the squad, and Matteo Darmian's actually going to leave, so it's going to get shorter, the squad's going to get thinner. Now Darmian, Smalling, they don't affect things really at the back. Manchester United's squad is suffering in midfield and attack, bars. But that's where we've got massive issues now. Unless Angel Gomez and Mason Greenwood and Tahith Chong become world beaters in a few games, which is unlikely, and it's unfair to put that pressure on them, Manchester United are going to struggle this season. And I think we've got to expect to see inconsistencies in performance, inconsistencies in result, and inconsistencies in form. Whether those results are good or not, we're going to see inconsistencies in form, and that's what we're in for this season. It could actually get worse before it gets better. But what I will say is, I'm liking the way the squad's shaping up. It's just happening far too slow, and by the time the next summer transfer window comes around, Paul Pogba's going to be gone, most likely. We're going to have to be replaced, like you'd think Matic, Jones, Young, that'll probably be the end of them in that window. So then we're going to have an even thinner squad, and Rojo as well possibly. And we're going to have to replace those big names, big positions in midfield and attack. And this rebuild is going to take a while. Now what Ollie's done, he's got rid of a lot of the players we don't want around. And that's great. But like I've said before, I don't know whether he's going to be a success as a manager, tactically, results. I said it at the time when he was doing well, winning games. I wasn't sure whether we should give him the job. And obviously he got the job. I'm fully behind him. I'm not going to start screaming Ollie out. Nothing like that. It's ridiculous, especially 4 games into the season. But I'm not going to do that, and I'm not that kind of person. But he should have been back more in the window. Again, Jose had this issue. Van Gaal had this issue, less so with Van Gaal because he did get quite a few signings in, and Moyes had this issue. Moyes definitely had this issue that they weren't backed properly. Now those managers got sacked in the end correctly, But what led up to those sackings was poor decisions by the board. And again, we're seeing it. How can you let Fellaini, Herrera, and your midfield just dwindle, your attack dwindle, and not replace those players? How can you do it? It doesn't happen at any other club as big as Manchester United. It doesn't. And whilst no one can moan about those players, we can't cry over Smalling and Fellaini and Herrera and Lukaku and Sanchez leaving. No one really gives a fuck. The only one you could possibly argue about is Lukaku. Apart from that, the rest of them, who cares? And we didn't replace them is the biggest issue. That's the biggest issue, not letting them go. Because when you look at our squad and you see the players in the squad, bar one or two, you think, you know what, he's not bad to have around the squad. There's maybe about 4 or 5 players that you could see getting rid of. But there's not enough quality in key positions, and it affects the spine of our team. And as we saw in the game against Southampton, I'm not making an excuse for Paul Pogba here, obviously, because he was poor in that match. He had a bad game. But when Pogba's off it, United have no one else to create anything. And in fact, we did have quite a lot of chances. So it's not even like that was the problem. But when Pogba is off form, our midfield is poor. McTominay is not good enough to start week in, week out. He's a good enough squad player, but he's not good enough to start week in, week out. Pereira, I think he's a great little footballer. But what is he? What is he? Do you know what I mean? Like, what are you? Are you a winger? Are you mid? Like, what are you? No one knows. You need to bring more into the team. And unfortunately, this is the squad we've got to go with. Like, this is the squad we've got to go with. It's an absolute madness. But here we are, I guess. So, yeah, guys, I'm going to be diving into your comments very, very soon. Let me know what you're thinking about everything. Here's the squad. So, as I was just talking about United's squad, here's that squad. This is Manchester United's squad for the season. Let me make it a little bit smaller so you can see it. And Darmian is likely to leave. So if Darmian's likely to leave, yeah, and this is our squad, we have to give patience. Like, that's the defence and the midfield. That is our defence and midfield and attack. I thought it was just our defence and midfield then, but that is it. Like, that's our squad. And if that's it, you have to give the manager another window. Whether, I don't even know if he's the right manager or not, but you have to. Look at that squad. Goalkeeper, you can't complain. We got 2 good young goalkeepers out on loan. So goalkeepers, I know De Gea's been poor and making mistakes. You can't complain with that. Victor Lindelof, Eric Bailly. Eric Bailly's permanently injured. Victor Lindelof's made some mistakes recently, but there you go. And then, you know, Phil Jones probably going to leave soon. Harry Maguire, obviously quality. Wan-Bissaka quality. Rojo gonna be gone. Young gonna be gone. Delo, you know, one for the future maybe. But we haven't got enough midfield attack. Big problems. It's grim reading, as people are saying in the comments as well, guys. Let me know what you guys are thinking in them comments below. That was the squad right there. Just not good enough. We'll be going to player ratings soon in the video, so make sure you got your player ratings ready to come through. Michael says, Adam, have you heard according to the Sun, United are going to sell the hair in January? As soon as you say according to the Sun, I'm not listening. Anyone from the youth who can step into a CDM. I don't know about proper defensive, but James Garner can play in central midfield. Whether he's one that comes in, Dylan Levitt. But again, you heap, like, we're not saying these kids aren't talented, because they are. Mason Greenwood's hella talented. But it's unfair to be putting this pressure on them, man. So true, we all have an inquest on the way back if we're rubbish. If we win, everyone in the car is chilled. C'est la vie, you bang right, Red H. I'm chilled about it personally, says Lewis. I think we kind of just have to accept it now and relax. It's hard to, because you know what it is, yeah? Obviously, you overanalyze the 90 minutes. I'm part of that. I try not to overreact to things, but the 90 minutes is over-analysed, and you very rarely get to look at the bigger picture. And when you look at the bigger picture is that squad picture there. That is the squad. Is that a squad that's capable of finishing top? If you take Paul Pogba out of that squad, David De Gea, Harry Maguire, Martial out of that squad, it's not great, you know what I mean? It's not great at all. And those players that I mentioned, bar Maguire and Wan-Bissaka, aren't pulling up trees either. So we have to, Beat says lowering expectations. It's true, but that's what's happened. The expectations have continuously been lowered from expecting to challenge for the league to Fergie left us an old squad, it needs to be changed and replaced, to, you know, then we got a new manager, then we got another new manager, then it's a different strategy, and then it's, oh, we need to wait again. But this is what's happening now, should have happened a long time ago in terms of getting rid of a lot of players and just being a bit more ruthless. The thing is, we did it at the back end of the window. As for the 90 minutes yesterday, I know we're dilly-dallying about United's bigger problems. This is the Aftermath Live, and we are talking about Manchester United against Southampton. And where do you start? Where do you start? I actually thought first half we did all right. Could have, maybe should have been 2-3-0 up. Any ruthless Man United side punishes that Southampton team and gets the goals. Daniel James, what a goal. What a goal. Now, against Crystal Palace, I thought his goal kind of papered over an average performance. His goal was amazing, but I thought it papered over an average-ish performance. But I thought against Southampton, he was excellent in terms of his hard work, in terms of his delivery into the box. Rashford has to get across his defender more. You have to be hunting out those goals. He was whipping them into the 6-yard box at times and into other areas. Get hungry for goals. Punish defenders. Westegaard was having a shocker yesterday, and he turned out to be the man that was you know, given the goal and grabbed the headlines and got the equaliser for them. It was just. But Daniel James was my man of the match yesterday for Manchester United. I thought he did very well, and he's been the silver lining for United so far this season. I don't think he's already equalled Alexis Sanchez's Premier League goals for Manchester United, which says it all, in 4 games. And he's done very, very well. And what I like about him as well, whether his delivery has been poor or not, or hit and miss or not, his work ethic's fantastic. His pace is always a threat, and he's confident. He's very, very confident. I can't remember what game it was where, I think it might have been the Palace game, where he missed 1 or 2 opportunities, but then he still had the confidence with the time ticking down to bend it in the top corner. Takes balls, you know what I mean? So fair play to him. He's done very well since he came to Manchester United. Marcus Rashford didn't have the best of games yesterday either. Poor game. I know he hasn't played in that 9 position this season for United, but he's a striker. And you have to be doing better with the opportunities that are presented to you. It looks like he's lacking a lot of confidence, but again, this is what where United are now. We've got Martial, we've got Rashford, we've got Mason Greenwood, who are our strikers, and as we've seen so far, they're in and out. Mason Greenwood, we've not seen enough of him. Thought he should have come on a little bit earlier yesterday. I would have started him, to be totally honest with you. I thought Juan Mata did well for United yesterday as well. I thought him and Daniel James were our best players. And when Juan Mata went off, we brought on Matic. It allowed Pogba to go further up the field, which was obviously good for United. But then we lost Mata, and I still felt like he had a little bit more to give in that game. So again, you could argue that Solskjaer's substitutions, were they the right ones again at the right time? But I thought tactically first half it wasn't an issue. Second half we allowed them to build that pressure. You could feel their goal coming. You could feel it coming. And then they got the goal and you're thinking, geez, they could go on and win this game. And then when your man gets sent off, forgot his name now, Dantos or whatever his name is, when he gets sent off, 20 minutes to go, any decent United side finishes them. Lingard came on, could have passed to Greenwood, should have passed to Greenwood, more poor decision making. Another player lacking confidence, lacking form, not doing it at the moment. And we need these players to switch on. I feel like Ollie as well has gone a little bit, not negative, because we're always playing on the front foot. And it's partly because of the options we have in midfield. Fred deciding to get married instead of joining pre-season, all those kind of things. But in midfield, he's obviously opting not to use Matic. I'm fine with that. We're looking ahead to a future without Matic. But he's playing two. We're playing a flat two. And at times, it feels like that Mourinho football again. We've got two there, three in front. Play one with two midfielders in front. Give us more freedom to attack. Give us more bodies in midfield. Because that's what we're missing at the moment. We've got that extra man up top in that kind of 3-1, in the 4-2-3-1. And we're not getting the ball to them. Because Pogba's playing on the edge of his box. And he's giving the ball away, trying to do things, trying to make things happen from there. He needs to keep it simple. But also, you need to be trying them things further up the field. And I think we need to go out of this 4-2-3-1. Get out of it. Because I just don't think it's working for us really. I think it's unfair to absolutely get on Ollie's case. I really do think whether you think he's out of his depth as a manager or not. Look at what has happened around him. I don't think he should have got the job. I think it would have been a position to say, and I said this at the time, thank you, it's been a fucking journey, amazing journey. And Paris was amazing, but let's look ahead and let's get a coach in that can, and then do this with that. But now we have Ollie, we've got to stand by him, we've got to stick by him. Because ultimately, what else can anyone do with this squad that we've been left with now? We need to add to this squad. Rashford needs benching, he looks burnt out. The problem is, Dennis, when this happens, if Martial's injured, we haven't got anyone else. And like Danielle says in the comments, Leicester are going to expose us now. I don't know about expose, maybe a bit strong. But I do worry about that game against Leicester. We got some tricky games coming up after the fixture against, after the international break. I'm just going to get them up now, but I know Leicester's the next one at home. And then we've got, is it Newcastle away? Or something like that? Let me just go. Let me check the fixtures for you guys. But I know they're looking very tricky. And we got Leicester at home, West Ham away, Arsenal at home, Newcastle away, Liverpool at home. Now, usually I think in the games against Arsenal and Liverpool, usually, the favourites are usually those with home advantage. But in this form, Leicester, Leicester's a very, very difficult team. Now, the one thing that does give me a little bit more confidence about that game is Leicester aren't going to sit back. But they may think that's the best way to play against United at Old Trafford. Soak up the pressure, hit Vardy on the break. But I don't think they will do that. So maybe their willingness to play football will bring us into the game. West Ham away, Manuel Pellegrini, not going to be an easy game. TV game, it's going to be one of them ones. Arsenal at home, always a tricky match. Newcastle away, tricky match. Liverpool at home, tricky match. So we've got 5 points out of 12 at the moment, and it could get much, much worse. It's a matter. It's an absolute mad one. Glenn says he doesn't, as in Ollie has a real plan. We do not have. I think Ollie has a plan. I think Ollie, I can see what Ollie's doing with this squad. Whether he's the right manager tactically or coach-wise or whatever, that's a different thing. But I can see what Ollie's trying to do. He's doing what any of us would do if we got given that job. We'd go in and say, right, Smalling, you're off. Alexis, you're off. Matic, you're out of the team. Jones, you're out of the team. Lukaku, all right, if you don't want to stick around, see you later. He's done what all of us would have done. Maybe not, Herrera was out of his hand. He's brought in centre-back. He's brought in a right-back. We would have done that. But he's not been able to bring in those other players. Just like Jose wasn't. Long way to go yet, says Danny. Very true. Still very early in the season. Remember when United used to always start slowly in the season? Remember that? And we'd be like, nah, it's all good. We United come good around Christmas and then we'll push on in the new year and we'll win the league. God, how times have changed. When will we win the league next? When will we win the league? That's the question for you guys. When will we win the league next? Anyway, we're going to go over to the player ratings. And these are my player ratings. We've got a 5 for David De Gea. We got a 6 for Wan-Bissaka. We got a 5 for Victor Lindelof. We got a 6 for Harry Maguire. We got a 5 for Ashley Young. We got a 5 for the 2 midfielders. We got a 5 for Pereira. We got 7s for Daniel James and Juan Mata. And we got a 5 for Marcus Rashford. Mata, James were decent. Probably being generous with the 7s. Probably being generous with the 5s. Probably should be 6s and 4s. But here we are. Let me know what you guys are thinking. I used that being a little bit more ruthless. Let me know in them comments. Jacob says Rashford a 4. The reason why you can't overreact and start slapping people with 4s and 3s and like Allison says 0 is because we drew the game ultimately. We didn't lose, you know what I mean? Lindelof should be a 3. McTominay a 6, says Jinx. Patience is key, guys. It took Klopp 2 to 3 years to build a team that he wanted, says Matt. I agree. We also have to see signs of improvement for a manager to be in time. So hopefully we get to see that. Thank you for joining us, Riasa. I appreciate you joining us live. Rashford a 3, says Oliver. Stephen. Abibi's being more harsh. I'd give him a 2, says Matt. Matt's been talking a lot of sense and he says I'm being too nice to Rashford. I am too nice, and I am too nice. But those are my player ratings for the game, guys. Let me know what you lot are thinking in the comments below, and make sure you're subscribing to Adam McKola TV as well. I've been pushing on with the content more recently. The views will grow as I keep it consistent, and hopefully the subs will as well. So hopefully you guys can help me. If you're not subscribed, then bang that subscribe button right now. And if you are subscribed, then hit that like button right now. We've got about 8 more minutes to go. Thank you for tuning in. Keep your questions coming in. This is the Aftermath Live without my mate Dean today. But Dean will be back on the next one. Rashford is not ready to take up the pressures of being United's number 9. We need Martial back. Hopefully Martial is back after the international break. Thank you very much. Gary Jacob is just commenting the word patience in capitals consistently. Glenn says 2 for the whole team. Agreed, too much negativity, too much deadwood among the fans, says Nico. This was the Aftermath with your host Adam McKola, says Vinny. Do you know where I got the name from? Shady Aftermath? Well, obviously it's the Aftermath, but as a big Dr. Dre 50 Eminem fan. I am a big fan, but I was like hardcore back in the day. I think my email address was like shady_aftermath@hotmail.com or something like that. Don't go emailing that because it wasn't the actual one, but it was something like that. Everything comes in cycles. We will be back. That we will be. Who would have thought we'd be sitting here watching fucking Man City and Liverpool fight out for the title while we're sitting in 6th? Whoever would have thought that? The tables will turn again at some point, just hopefully very, very soon. Keep your comments coming in, guys. Keep your comments coming in. James says not fair for Ollie. He deserves better support from the fans and the board. Now, what I will say is, guys, I think a lot of negativity emulates around social media. I think at the ground, like, people do fan cams and they'll be negative or they'll criticise or whatever. People tweet stuff from the ground and they'll be angry or whatever. But in the ground, Ollie is given nothing but support, and that's the way it should be. And that's why I've been disappointed with the way we've treated Paul Pogba. Like, when I was growing up, like, the thing was, you always back your own. You always support your own. Fergie used to do it. You always back your own. And even when players used to return to United, there was very few we'd boo. Obviously, Carlos Tevez got it really bad and that, but there was very few players returning to United with boo. But like, this social media era has brought like just a mad sort of culture with it, a microwave culture. Everyone wants things instantly. Maybe I'm just saying that because I've seen so many amazing things as a United fans, and some younger people haven't. But like, yeah, it's just crazy. Keep your thoughts coming in on the Aftermath Live. We are live. The day after Manchester United have dropped more points. 7 points dropped from 12. We're already 7 points off the pace. Imagine that. 7 points off Liverpool, 5 points off City. City won't drop 7 points between now and the end of the season. Probably not. Liverpool probably won't either. It's nuts really when you think about it. It is nuts. What do I think of Greenwood's performance? He had a decent effort. Jesse should have slipped him in as well. But it's too late. Now, I want to see him start. If we've got no strikers, let's see him start. Let's Ollie just be brave again. Get brave again. Because I feel like the team isn't as brave as it was in those early days. Playing within ourselves a little bit. IR Guilty says, real talk. I think social media gives these people confidence to say things they wouldn't say in real life. Mitchell says, you are part of the culture. You go to the game expecting a victory. I go to the game expecting a victory because we're Manchester United fans. Like, we're better, or we should be better than most teams in the league. I don't go to Man City or Liverpool games expecting United to win. Not anymore. So, no. And part of that culture would mean after every game United drop points, I'll be like, oh, Ollie out, Ollie out, Ollie out. Oh, fuck this, fuck that, fuck this. Going on like an absolute knobhead. Which you might think I'm a knobhead. But I don't think I've ever acted like that in one of my reviews. So. Adam, do you think we will be in the market in January? Hard to say. It's hard to say. Why do I keep seeing people talk about Dybala leaving in January from Juventus? Like, when did... I know we got Sanchez and Mickey. That was in January, wasn't it? But the swap was in January. But when do big players really leave? Maybe we're not after big players no more. And which would say it all, right? It really would say it all. Guys, thank you for joining us here on the Aftermath Live. Thank you for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Remember, if you watch this live, I appreciate you all. If you haven't watched this live, then we are live the day after the game with the Aftermath Live. We're also live like an hour or so after the match as well from outside whatever stadium the match was at. I was live from outside of St Mary's yesterday, live from Old Trafford at the home games as well, and we're continuing that throughout the season. So you'll have a live once I've finished fan cams, which is usually about an hour after the full-time whistle. Then you'll have a live a day after where we get to just chat about things and do player ratings and all that stuff. And then, we'll just keep it going. Danielle, thank you. Mr. Starfire, thank you for joining us. Jacob, thank you for joining us. IR Guilty, thank you for joining us. I am going on holiday. Maybe I'll do a few videos for you while I'm out there, but I don't expect to. So if I'm quiet for the week, you know why. And maybe I'll see you in a week's time. But if not, see you soon. Anyway, I've been Adam McKola. I'm out of here.